And more rains, more rains, and it'll be like this for another month or so, but it's just beautiful. Michael C. Phillips, this is another art video, and it's just to show you a little bit about our lives in northern Thailand. I noticed this a couple days ago, and normally I wouldn't do something like this, but I think it's pretty interesting, especially for you Westerners. This is our backyard, and this is a ngah tree, a fruit tree. But in the tree, you can see that wad of leaves. That is a red ant nest. So in our village, well, I'll notify our neighbors, and they will come and get that, or somebody out here in the village will get it. And this is really a delicacy, red ant eggs. And so somebody will be eating this within the next couple of days. It's just beautiful, and it's really big. Should have a ton of nice eggs in it. So, okay, thought that'd be pretty neat. Okay, here we are, back in the studio. Last time I did a little video on getting to the point where I lived in this home. It was the time I had my accident, which, if you remember, I lost a kilo of meat out of the inside of my left leg, which my left nose and everything, which causes infections. I died at the accident. They revived me, and I was back, and I was getting better. I was healing, which is good. Well, a couple years went by, and I was aging, many of my friends were getting married, and I just really wanted to get married. I wanted to have a girlfriend. I wanted to have a family. So I was thinking, where could I go to meet the marrying kind of woman? So I had, not gone to churches, but every place I was trying just didn't seem to work out. So I thought, well, I'm going to go to church. When I was on my travels, as I shared earlier, I had gone to places like the rainbow gatherings back there in the 60s and the 70s. You might have heard of those. They're just a place where thousands of hippies would go once a year, and there would be a crazy community. I went to the Mardi Gras 3 times over that season, and I was looking for an earth mama. That's what we call those ladies. And I had been bicycling by a church up there in the Cascades, and what appeared to me is I would go by, there'd be gatherings out the church, and I would see those earth mamas and those burly logger guys with the big beards, and I thought, man, this has got to be a place where there's got to be a nice little sweetheart. So I went in there, and that is the church that, if you remember, the pastor said, what if Jesus is real? Well, in my seeking truth, I thought I'd better find out. So I received Jesus as my Savior that day. Well, to make a long story shorter, things started happening. I invited Jesus into my heart, and I was super hungry. Well, the pastor made me the chairman of the singles group within 2 months. This was just crazy. I was so green. I didn't even know about Christianity, although I was very hungry. And then within 6 months, he suggested that I go to Bible college because we talked a lot. I consumed the New Testament, and I didn't want to. I told him, no, I'm not going to. He said, look, go try it out. So in obedience to him, I did pray, and I said, Lord, 2 things. First of all, give me a desire to do it, and I'm poor. I don't have any money. I'm a part-time worker trying to be an artist. So I don't have any finances. You're going to have to provide that. So I did. Well, first prayer answered was that I had a great time. I enjoyed it so much. I had to go into Seattle, and I I sit in there, and it was wonderful. But I didn't have any money. So I thought, well, good, still, I don't have any money, so I can still work on being an artist. So after that week, I was at home, and I started getting up Saturday morning to do my house cleaning, which I normally did. The pastor called. He said, what'd you think? And I said, it was great. Great. I had a great time. But I don't have any money, and I can't afford to go to college. And he said, okay, look, the church has talked it over. They would like to pay for your first year. So that wasn't what I expected. So anyway, I ended up going to college. Well, several things started happening again. People started calling me pastor. People started saying God told them that I was going to be a pastor, a servant of the Lord. People started saying things that, I didn't really want to even hear. They started talking about missions. Well, I had a friend at that time, and he said, hey, man, let's go for a bicycle ride. Now, I was bicycling to build strength in my leg. And we had started doing some short touring trips. So our agreement was we would go over the Northern Cascade Highway. And it'd be a 5-day ride going down to the Columbia Gorge Pass, down that area, and then coming back over Stephen Pass into the Seattle area. But the first day we took off, it was a heck of a climb over the Northern Cascade Highway. It was about 12 hours of climbing. Well, the buddy, he was a little bit older than me, and he kept saying, I'm bonking, man, I'm bonking. I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not going to survive this. So we did. He didn't make it to the top, and he flew down to the first town, and he said, look, I'm done. I'm out. I'm going to call my wife. And which he did. He called his wife. She came and got him. Well, I was by myself then. And I thought, well, should I ride back with him or keep going? And I thought, well, this is really an issue between me and God. I'm going. And I think in my mind, I was trying to run from God. I did not want to be a missionary. I did not want to be a minister. I wanted to be an artist. So anyway, I got out there on the road. I did it. I did 3 days. 4 days was a good ride. Windy. It was pretty rough, but it was good. And I started on my way back. And at the bottom of that pass, going back over Stevens Pass down into Seattle on the west coast. And just when I was in the bottom of that, I felt my leg starting to get irritated. Well, this infection had moved into my leg. I think I was just exhausted. Moved in my leg, and it started to really get bad. I started shaking, and I was on my way up this path. Well, I'd had these infections a lot, so I thought, man, I'm just going to push, get to that top of that pass, and then I'll figure out what to do. Maybe I'll see somebody. I'm still have a ton of miles to cover on my bike. So I got to the top, and I don't know, I was just a blibbering idiot. I was shaking, and I was going. There were people up there. And I thought, should I stop? And I said, no, man, it's all downhill. I'll just go. So I rode it down about 3 to 4 hours downhill, came into a small town, and I thought to myself, I have to see what's going on with my leg. So I pulled over to a restaurant, went to the bathroom, and pulled down my riding clothes and looked at my leg, and it was purple, orange, red. It was swollen twice its size. I was shaking. I was a mess. And I came out of the bathroom. Well, there was a member of the church there. And he says, man, hey, Mike, man, you look so bad. What's going on? I said, man, Jay, I have an infection. I just feel terrible. He said, look, I'll take you to the hospital. Get the bike. We'll put the bike in the back. So him and his little family, they ran me to the hospital. Called the doctor. I'd been there many times, so they knew me. Put me in a room. I was on IVs for 5 days. Well, laying in that hospital bed, I had some conversations with the Lord. And if you're seeing me now, you know the result. I lost. And I found that I had to submit. And this is the beginning of many what I felt like were confirmations or miracles that got me and my family here to Thailand. So I'm going to call that at that. The picture I'm going to show you is a picture about this struggle with man and God. And it is about a Chinese finger game. Okay, these things are, if you play, they're kind of fun, but the reference is the Adam and God in Michelangelo's painting at the Sistine Chapel. Anyway, this Chinese finger game, when you pull away from to get released, what it does, it actually tightens the relationship. So you cannot pull away to escape. And I felt like that was what I was doing with God. I only tightened that relationship with the Lord. And in the end, I had to submit. So that's what that picture's about. So I hope you enjoy this. And again, we'll talk to you again next week. So thank you for watching. And I hope this is of value to you. Bye-bye.